prepared a long-term development program with the support of the government of Canada. The plans failed to take off because of the structural handicaps and decline in living standards that Kenyans experienced in that period. It took the victory of the National Rainbow Coalition, NAC, in the 2002 elections for the country to make a fresh first start. I had the privilege of being the Minister for Planning and National Development in President Mwai Kibaki's government from 2003 to 2005. As Minister, it became clear to me that with the right policies and full political backing, Kenya could make rapid economic recovery. And indeed it did, raising GDP growth from 3% to a record 8% in 2007. This was primarily the result of the implementation of the Kenya Economic Recovery Strategy for Wealth and Employment Creation. That ran between 2002 and 2007. Once recovery was achieved, the ministry, under the guidance of the National Economic and Social Council, NESC, set about preparing a long-term development strategy that would have seen Kenya make the transition to a middle-income, rapidly industrializing nation. And I remember David Lee was very much involved with us in that NESC initiative from my office. This is what gave birth to the Kenya Vision 2030, which was inaugurated in 2008 and expires within the next few years. Unbelievable how time flies. The conclusion of Vision 2030 presents us with an opportunity to take stock of the hits and misses under this historic plan and to begin to chart a new long-term development pathway. To move forward, it is both necessary and useful to reflect on the experiences that have shaped our development journey over the past decades. A key lesson learned and captured in the plan we present is that nations do not become prosperous by accident. They do so because they learn from their successes and failures, build institutions capable of sustaining progress, and develop a shared national purpose and ideal that survives changes in political leadership. Let me repeat that. A key lesson learned and captured in the plan we present is that nations do not become prosperous by accident. They do so because they learn from their successes and failures, build institutions capable of sustaining progress, and develop a shared national purpose and ideal that survives changes in political leadership. Another lesson captured here is that Kenya cannot and does not need to duplicate or copy and paste development. Let me repeat. Kenya cannot and does not need to duplicate or copy and paste development. Kenya has to develop in her own fashion, taking cognizance of her unique characteristics, challenges, weaknesses, and strengths. And if we learned anything out of our recent prosperous years from 2002, it is that development requires national unity and social cohesion, political stability, effective government, in short, a strong state, and national pride and confidence. People with no pride or confidence in their country cannot be expected to develop it. We emphasize in this report that development is not just about economics. Kenya was doing very well in terms of GDP when the violence erupted after the 2007 elections. It turned out that despite economic growth, Kenyans were concerned about inclusion and exclusion in the economy. They were concerned about poverty and inequality along income, regional, and gender lines. The youth were frustrated by the absence of comprehensive strategies to tackle widespread unemployment, poverty, and historical economic imbalances that disproportionately affected the younger generation. Economic growth appeared to enhance rather than diminish regional imbalances, and became a source of tension and weakness in national development. We emphasize that to develop sustainably, we must build a nation that is united and has a sense of common and shared destiny, an ethnically integrated nation that is fair in its dealings with citizens, a nation with strong moral and ethical values, one that is democratic, liberal, tolerant, caring, equitable, and progressive. We must be intentional about establishing a scientific government that believes in pursuit of innovation and is forward-looking. We must not only consume technology, but we must also be a contributor to the scientific and technological advancement, not only of our country, but also of the human race as a whole. We must grow not only economically, but also politically, socially, culturally, and quite importantly, psychologically. A defeatist attitude that we are too poor, too divided, too small, or too young to develop can be a major hindrance to our takeoff as a nation. Worse still is the belief that it cannot be done. At all times, we must have faith and confidence in ourselves. Like Mwalimu Julius Nyerere once said, "It can be done. Play your part." I'm sure you remember the song. Mwalimu kasema, "It can be done. Play your part." A network of strong and efficient public institutions with a life that transcends the nature, the tenor of political parties,